Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So yesterday we did get an update basically of the Attuma tune-up situation, how it currently looks in the CCP beta. So again, this is provisional, it could change, and I did grab my screenshot from Nick136 video. He's an awesome guy, very skilled player, and also does a lot of very fun battleground streams. So I definitely recommend checking out his channel. I will leave a link to his Attuma review with the gameplay in the video description. I do have to add a note though, because, and I do not mean anything kind of like bad by this, Nick isn't too experienced or too in tune with playing Attuma, and the gameplay showcase in that video is not necessarily how you want to play Attuma, and that's perfectly fine. I do not mean to kind of like have a go at Nick, but there is kind of like a very important damage phase in Attuma that basically he didn't capitalize on at all. So his damage will be better than it does appear some of the videos there. But I'm kind of going to try and explain that in between. But, well, first things first, yeah, definitely go check out his video, and you're going to see also the gameplay and the numbers as he can put up. But it's important to know that overall damage can definitely still be increased if you capitalize more on your 20 hydration stack, basically, after special attacks. So, I can explain that a bit further in the video, but meanwhile, so what are the actual changes? So, increased Talocanil skin physical damage chance to activate from 15% to 30%. So that is quite significant, because obviously this will work with concussions and go up to higher and higher, and then he's going to trigger it twice and 3 times. And it is actually not just a defensive ability, which is quite important for people to note. Because if you take a look at Attuma's signature ability, Attuma's rough skin can now also deal damage anytime he strikes his opponent. In addition, its damage is increased by 5 to 10% for each bleed effective on either champion. And that is quite important as well, because it is, yes, obviously primarily a defensive ability. You hit him and you're going to take some damage back based on how much hydration and stuff like that he has. Even though I still don't think he's going to be as bad as Electro when you fight against him, for instance, in terms of the damage that you receive back. But it's also important to note that increase in that base damage chance should give you quite significantly improved amount of offensive burst as well. So it's both offensive and defensive if Attuma is awakened. And that is definitely a very solid change. That's main change that I kind of expected it to happen, because that is the main ability that makes him more dangerous in defense and could force you to plan for him, like specifically with champions like, projectile attacks and things like that that do not take damage from it. Also, the physical damage activation trigger also include blocked hits now. This is going to obviously also complicate things further, primarily defensively. So it is what it is. It's going to be harder to fight against Attuma, which is fair enough, I suppose. Then increase special 2 cruelty duration from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. I don't think that's quite enough, because Attuma, in reality, as he is right now in the game, would be viable offensive champion, and he had like proper duration or longer duration on his concussions, his hydration, and special 2 cruelties, because with that you can pause your concussions and stuff like that. And at the moment, the way Attuma is right now, he's quite stressful to play, and there's a lot of kind of like timer watching, and you basically need to pray your opponent is aggressive and is throwing special attacks. At the same time, he doesn't have any abilities like Infuriate or Taunt or Power Control to make sure that opponent is aggressive, or you can be aggressive at any time you choose. And that's kind of like one of those things where it's kind of like paradoxical, where his entire offensive kit is built around being very fast and managing all of these timers and, converting all the effects before they expire. And he has nothing in his kit to make sure that he can be, offensive and have a fast-paced fight. And you get a bit of dodgy AI, and the entire fight goes immediately downhill. You lose virtually all your ramp up, and you need to pretty much completely restart it if opponent refuses to throw special 2, for instance, and you just can't start heavying him. So that is still going to be the main problem. That's why I'm quite surprised and somewhat disappointed with what they are doing with Attuma. I kind of expect something different, and the 2-second cruelty increase duration I don't think is near enough. Now, the last bit is actually quite nice. I do like that. That is definitely meant to improve his speed and also his defensive capability, because it removed energy resistance from signature ability. And some people aren't too happy with it, but that energy resistance was not that potent to begin with, even at a max sig as well. It's 118, and if you do have him at sig 200, you get to 20. That would be like decent 2k energy resistance, but it's nowhere near the higher end, and it's also not super long in the uptime of it, because you consistently convert your hydration into concussions, and it's not something that you could reliably use like you could with Havoc just having energy resistance in his kit, or Bishop, or let alone Guardian, because this is much smaller than Guardian. It'd be like 1/4 of what Guardian's energy resistance is, and again, it would have very little uptime. So I'm not that fast about it, and I do think that this is definite improvement, because they changing that with Attuma starts each fight with one personal concussion debuff, which enables him to willpower heal from the very beginning of the fight, which also reduces his ability accuracy, increases his ability accuracy by 50%. Thus, also, you will be ramping up faster. And that was one of the things with Attuma as well, where he's a momentum character where you do need your ramp up, but if at any point opponent goes passive, you lose your ramp up. With this, reducing the overall time you would need to spend ramping up, probably going to go further than most people realize with that one concussion. It is paused until he receives another personal concussion. That makes sense, and it's good. So I do think that's quite solid. Right. All of those things put together, what do I think of Attuma? I just don't quite think it's enough. I think Attuma is starting out from better position than Shuri did, because they literally doubled Shuri's damage output. And even, now we're going to wait and see how Shuri does. But with Attuma, he's starting out better, but he's improved significantly less than Shuri is. And a lot of it is obviously also defensive. So he is definitely going to be a bigger defensive threat. So bringing in a random champion against Attuma now will effectively make sure that you finish with less HP in an average fight. I don't think it, in most cases, will make sure that you get KO'd, or he's all of a sudden going to become an absolute defensive tank, anything like that. But it will take away more of your health. I do still think you will probably be able to, KO him with majority of the champions. Question is how much of your health pool is going to have to be sacrificed. Right. Offensively, he will be slightly better. But the areas that he gets better are not the main problems with the champion. Problem is that, again, you are extremely reliant on being able to be super fast paced and building up your momentum and not losing it and capitalizing it. And there's nothing in his entire kit that helps you do it. Any node combination that forces you to slow down, or any uncooperative AI, you're done. Borderline needs to start over. And that's going to lead into extremely inconsistent results. I'm sure we're going to be able to make very good showcases with Attuma if the fight goes perfectly. The problem is that quite often these fights will not go perfectly. So, people are going to see that, oh, Attuma can take this champion in 90 seconds. It's very good. I'm going to use Attuma. And yeah, maybe Attuma can take that champion in 90 seconds, but if the AI gets a bit dodgy, you time out and you deal like, half the damage that you otherwise would, or less. That is unfortunately still the story there. There's no Taunt, there's no Infuriate, there's nothing that enables you to be aggressive. There's no power control, none of that to make sure that you can continuously, carry on building up. And with the short timers that he has, and with the very limited pausing abilities after level 2, and him being a ramp-up character, I still cannot see him being offensively reliable and relevant. I do think that if push comes to shove and you're with your back in the corner, let's say in Battlegrounds, and you do not have any better option, you can bring in Attuma in some of the fights, and you're going to do the same fight against a random champion, and one time you're going to do well, and one time you're going to do bad, and one time you're going to do well, and one time you're going to do really bad, because, again, it all depends on effectively the AI, or whether, you play around all of the nodes that could slow you down and stuff like that. And That is where I think he'll be. So better for sure. Automatic win and a rank up as soon as you get him type of situation. Probably not. Do I think he will be ranked up by majority of the players after his buff? No. I do think that, people who really like the champion or people who have very large rosters will find him potentially viable enough in some of the situations because he does have some quirky and unique utilities, which he already has. But I do not think that this is a champion for masses. I don't think this is a champion where, oh, this is a solid, skill class staple. I don't think this is Shang-Chi or Kingpin and even in the middle of the pack, or I don't think it's this guy's like a Mole Man or Massacre or any of those champions. I think it's going to be very situational and kind of like hit and miss. That is what I read from this buff. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about